What's up everyone and welcome back to the MMA Zone. Today, let's get started with Sean O'Malley talks about moving weight divisions. After deciding to take a hiatus from podcasting, Sugar Sean O'Malley and Tim Welsh returned with an all-new episode of the Timbo Sugar Show this week. On the heels of Dana White announcing that a rematch between O'Malley and Merab Dvalishvili would headline the UFC 316 card in June, O'Malley and Welsh spoke about this fight and a wide range of topics during the hour-long episode. And before we continue, make sure to leave a like on the video to help support the channel. At one point, the former champion called for fighters to start fighting closer to their natural weights, saying that he'd love to fight at either 145 or 155.
That's how it should be. Wait, we should all fight up weight class. I would love to fight at 45, even 55. I walk around 57, 58.
While discussing his upcoming rematch with Merab Dvalishvili, O'Malley also explained how a potential win over Dvalishvili in a rematch, after Merab already defended the title against Umar Nurmagomedov, will look that much better. This rematch was supposed to happen. It's gonna make this win that much more crazy. If I beat Merab the first time, Merab was still considered like a stud, but now he's like a damn, he's just beat me. He beat Umar. I'll forever be grateful for Merab in that sense that he beat me, made me become a better, not just fighter, better person, better human. Ahead of the rematch, Oddshark had O'Malley opening as a plus 235 underdog. On the flip side, Dvalishvili opened as a negative 275 favorite. Given how dominant he's looked as of late, plenty of fans and fighters are backing the champion to get the job done here. In an interview with Home of Fight, Odie Osborne explained that the champ's relentless blend of striking and grappling is basically the MMA equivalent of waterboarding. He almost like waterboards you. You can't breathe, he just smothers you, and as soon as you get a little bit of room to breathe, then he's back on you. I don't see anyone handling Merab for a while. When the two share the octagon on June 7th, Dvalishvili will either pick up his second straight title defense, or O'Malley will retake his place atop the division. As we're on the topic of O'Malley, many UFC fans weren't happy with the immediate rematch. Fans believe that O'Malley should have fought another contender before fighting for the title again. A fan asked Aljamain Sterling how he felt about the entire situation, considering that he had 3 title defenses before losing to O'Malley, and he was never granted a rematch for the belt. And not to mention, he was essentially forced to take the fight against O'Malley by the UFC and came in with an injury in that bout. Here was what the fan had to say. Honest question, man, does this piss you off? You were never offered an instant rematch. Actually, Sean was a dick about it and said no. I hate this for the sport. It's become about profit and less about skill. Sterling saw the comment and responded with, honest answer, the UFC is going to do what's best for the business and the brand. Would I have liked an immediate rematch due to the circumstances going into the first fight? Absolutely. But I understand the business model better than most, and O'Malley is a really exciting guy that's beaten many top 5 contenders, so I think he rightfully deserves it after all the ranked names he's beaten. It was a surprise to see Aljo make these claims, considering he was the one that wasn't in favor of O'Malley fighting him for the belt, saying that he hasn't done enough. Here's some of what the people in the MMA community had to say about Aljo's response. It's insane how dishonest these guys are. They cried for literal months about Umar not deserving a title shot because he was a tough matchup, only to justify O'Malley getting an undeserved title shot with lies because it's a favorable matchup for Merab. Lost all respect for Aljo and Merab. Beating many top 5 contenders, he literally robbed Bien 2 years ago, and that's his only top 5 win right now. Dana forced Aljo to tweet this. Another MMA community member wrote, what happens when he's beat the second time by Merab? To which Aljo replied with, you offer him a trilogy. So clearly Aljo was trolling O'Malley and the entire situation of him getting a rematch. Nevertheless, what are your guys' thoughts on the whole situation? Do you think Sean O'Malley deserved the rematch against Merab? Let us know down in the comment section below. The UFC revealed the UFC 315 fight poster on social media today. It's in the Quebec flag theme. A lot of members in the MMA community love this poster, but let us know your thoughts down in the comment section. Justin Gaethje will fight Islam Makhachev for the belt? Yesterday, we reported that Michael Bisping thinks Makhachev will fight Justin Gaethje next. It looks like Daniel Cormier also thinks the same thing. On a recent episode of Funky and the Champ, Daniel Cormier revealed that he believes Islam Makhachev will ask the UFC to match him up with Justin Gaethje for the title fight.
I honestly believe that's who's going to fight for the belt. I believe it's going to be Gaethje. Yeah.
Gaethje lost 2 fights ago, though.
Gaethje lost, yeah. I think it's going to be Gaethje. I think that's, if I'm Team Makhachev, I'm asking for Justin Gaethje because that's a big name fight. It's the guy that carries a lot of name recognition. I think that's going to be the fight, if I'm being honest with you.
Given DC has a close relationship with Makhachev, there could be some validity here. Do you agree with DC and think that Justin Gaethje deserves to fight for the title coming off a knockout loss just 2 fights ago to Max Holloway? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. DC also called Justin Gaethje and jokingly asked him if Conor McGregor would be the next president of Ireland. Here's what Gaethje had to say.
But real quick, is Conor going to become the president of Ireland?
Daniel, stop calling me for this dumb.
No, Big Justin. I was calling you before I started, and then Ben and I started talking about fighting. And then I was telling Ben that I think you're going to get a title fight next and all this. But I figured, well, I'll answer. And since we're on that topic, I'm just asking you, is he going to be the president of Ireland?
Terrible question.
He said he doesn't know about Ireland, Ben, and he doesn't care. This is Justin Gaethje.
Khamzat Chimaev breaks silence on going to Ireland to find Conor McGregor. Years back, before Khamzat Chimaev and Khabib Nurmagomedov came together to squash any beef following a scuffle between Khabib's cousin Abu Bakr and Chimaev, there were rumors that Boers was heading to Ireland to help train Conor McGregor for his fight against Khabib Nurmagomedov. During a recent interview with Islam Makhachev, Chimaev spoke about the situation, revealing that although some people thought that he wanted to go to Ireland to help McGregor, he actually wanted to get revenge on McGregor for comments he made about Chechnya, and sparring footage where McGregor dropped Chechen black belt Ayub Magomedov. Once he got to Ireland, however, he wound up getting detained at the airport, held by police, and then eventually sent back to Sweden. I just saw one of our guys, my compatriot Conor, dropped him in sparring and posted a picture. My friends told me to spar with him and I flew over there. I wanted to squash him. Some people probably thought that I wanted to go there to help him to prepare against Khabib. As Chimaev went on to explain, he didn't just want to get back at McGregor for his pre-fight comments about Khabib and his team. He wanted to get back at him for a number of reasons. Not just for Khabib, for our pride, our dignity, for all of us. If I didn't manage to hit him, I'd throw some object if there was a group of them. So far, no response from McGregor. However, given that McGregor has made it clear he has no love for anyone connected to Khabib, expect a response from the former champ. Alex Pereira released a new skit on social media today.
Duas horas depois.
MMA community reacts to Aljamain Sterling getting choked out. On Wednesday, footage surfaced of Aljamain Sterling appearing to get choked out by a fighter reportedly identified as Zalik Yusupov, who has a 19-17 record on Tapology, during the filming of what was previously known as Hype Reality, but is now known as ALF Global Reality. It's probably not the first time you've seen Yusupov, whether you realized it or not. Back in October, he choked out another guy on stage during a hardcore MMA press conference, and the footage of the incident went viral. On the heels of this new footage of him allegedly choking out Aljo, plenty of members of the MMA community weren't happy about the situation. This dude is pissing me off, he's an absolute nobody choking out a former world champion probably over something little, I need footage of this guy brutally slept. While Yusupov's done this before, plenty of people were skeptical about the footage. Corny AF if this is real. Feed him to Aljo for one round, that's it. Another added, Dana needs to pay these guys, they be acting a fool. One Movzar Ivloyev fan wrote, leave our son alone. Another member of the MMA community joked, Oscar worthy. Plenty of fans weren't buying it either. This has to be fake. Late last night, Aljo reacted to the clip on social media, kinda hinting that it was real, and later went on to get his revenge during the show. He went on X and said this, LOL, wait till you see what I did after you They're airing it next week. As we're on the topic of Aljo, Sterling is looking for a fight. After his loss to Movzar Ivloyev, the former bantamweight champion is looking to get back inside the octagon in early June, posting, June 7, let's run it. With plenty of exciting fights for him at 145, it'll be interesting to see who Sterling winds up fighting when he does return to action. UFC fight updates. On the heels of Dana White announcing some big bouts this week, let's take a look at some UFC fight updates that might have flown under the radar. First up, we've got two new additions to the UFC Fight Night Kansas City card at the end of April, with Timmy Kwamba set to fight Roberto Romero and Chris Gutierrez set to fight John Castaneda. The Kwamba-Romero fight will see Kwamba look to get his first win inside the octagon after back-to-back losses, while Romero will look to bounce back from a loss to David Onama back in November. In the Chris Gutierrez-John Castaneda fight, Gutierrez will be looking to build on a win over Kwang Lee, while Castaneda will be looking to bounce back from a loss to Daniel Marcos in June. Shifting gears and looking ahead on the calendar, Ketlin Vieira will reportedly throw down with Macy Chiasson on the UFC Vegas 107 card, in a fight that'll see Vieira look to bounce back from a loss to Kayla Harrison, and Chiasson looking to build on a two-fight winning streak that most recently saw her batter Mayra Bueno Silva en route to a doctor stoppage win back in June. Moving on, the Black Beast Derek Lewis will be back in action this summer when the UFC heads to Nashville. According to reports, Lewis will throw down with Taliesin Teixeira in the 5-round main event on July 12th. Lewis will look to build on a win over Rodrigo Nascimento, while Teixeira will look to make it 2 in a row after a first-round win over Justin Tafa. While we're on the topic of UFC updates, it looks like Manel Kape will be fighting at International Fight Week. He went on X last night and teased the news. Ex-UFC fighter targeted and forced to cancel event. Aussie MMA fans may not have a chance to see the Dark Matter Fighting Championship card set to take place on April 19th after reports emerged that former UFC fighter Suman Mokhtarian was reportedly being targeted. 2GB's Ben Fordham broke the news on Wednesday, revealing that the New South Wales police learned of a plot to take out the former UFC fighter, who had already been the victim of a targeted attack outside of Australian top team last February. Once the New South Wales Police Department learned of the credible threat towards Mokhtarian, they contacted Dark Matter Fighting Championship promoter Andrew Delmas, telling him that they would not be giving the green light for the event to receive necessary permits given the plot to target Mokhtarian. According to a report from the Sydney Morning Herald, the event might get moved to another venue, with Mokhtarian going on record as saying that he would not attend if it meant that the event could go on as planned. Mokhtarian, who briefly fought on season 27 of TUF before getting eliminated in the first round, has not fought since 2019 when he lost to Sun Woo Choi, marking his second straight post-TUF loss inside the octagon. UFC settles lawsuit for $1.2 million. After settling their antitrust lawsuit with fighters from the Levy-Zuffa class, the UFC has now reportedly reached a $1.2 million settlement in a separate class action lawsuit. And before we continue, we have a favor to ask. Help us reach 200,000 subscribers on MMA Zone by subscribing and turning on notifications for daily MMA content. Seriously, we rarely miss a day. According to Top Class Actions, the UFC settled a $1.2 million class action lawsuit that alleged they violated federal laws with Fight Pass subscriptions that automatically renewed. Users in California, Washington, D.C., Florida, Hawaii, Illinois, New York, North Carolina, North Dakota, Oregon, Virginia, and Vermont who subscribed to Fight Pass between October 11, 2018 and January 21, 2025 were not provided with the proper disclosures or consent information in the fine print while subscribing. As a result, the UFC is settling the lawsuit for $1.2 million, with the settlement including an admission of guilt on the UFC's part. The settlement will see fans either receive checks for $9.99 or 2 free months of Fight Pass.